Top stories in our news today. British High Commissioner to Zambia says the revelations contained in the 2018 Financial Intelligence Report Center are alarming. Minister of Finance Margaret Mwanakatwe has asked Zambians to support the sales tax as it meant to increase the country's revenue and support government social development programs. And President Edgar Lungu has been urged not to relent on sacking his ministers, advisors and party officials who are not working for the progress of the country. Welcome to the news. British High Commissioner to Zambia Fergus Cochrane-Diet says that the revelations contained in the 2018 Financial Intelligence Report Center are alarming. The Financial Intelligence Report has revealed that suspicious financial transactions in the country increased to a tune of 6.1 billion kwacha in 2018 from the 4.5 billion kwacha revealed in 2017. In its report, the four suspected offences highlighted in the report, corruption is on top with 4.9 billion kwacha, followed by tax evasion with 1 billion kwacha, while theft is at 110 million kwacha and fraud at 54 million kwacha. Mr. Cochrane-Diet has told Q News in an interview that the FIC 2018 report is significant in a worrying way, especially that corruption is on top. Mr. Cochrane-Diet has expressed concern that the propositioned suspicious of financial transactions has gone up by 33%.
It's significant in a worrying way because it shows that the trend is negative. The proportion of suspicious financial transactions has gone up by 33%. But it's positive because FIC is working with the law enforcement agencies with support from government to tackle corruption. And the last point I would make, I sometimes wonder whether everyone in Zambia understands how dangerous corruption is. Corruption kills people because government money which is stolen corruptly is money which then can't be spent on education, on health, social cash transfers, supporting poor Zambians and saving lives.
And All People's Congress leader Nassar Musoni says the Financial Intelligence FIC Center report for 2018 has confirmed that the Patriotic Front PF government is rotten to the core with corruption. Mr. Musoni says it is sickening to note that the looting of public resources has increased exponentially from the previous year's FIC report. Mr. Musoni says the portrait of government in the circumstances is clearly pointing to a government that is running into failure.
Now, given all this, countrymen and women, nothing can atone for this loss of public money of over 6.1 billion kwacha than to ask Mr. Lungu, than to ask President Lungu to step down and allow somebody else to take over the running of government. His role in government has become unattainable and he has become a state liability to this country. When you look at the number of our citizens that are suffering and you look at this wanton theft and corruption of public funds, it just breaks my heart. His continued shielding of criminals in government is causing untold suffering and misery for the overwhelming majority of our people. The loss of government money, government revenue from 4.6 billion kwacha in 2017 to 6.1 billion kwacha for the 2018 report as highlighted in the FIC report. Now, given all
Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Christopher Yaluma says Zambia appreciates the long-standing relation with the European Union because it is based on shared common values of good governance, rule of law and preservation of peace. Mr. Yaluma has told journalists that the EU has continued to support the country financially through various initiatives. He says that the EU support has also enabled the cross-border traders to enjoy safe passage as they travel through the borders. Mr. Yaluma states that the country will continue to tap into that potential investment that the EU has continued to provide.
We deliberate, we collaborate regularly through consultative meetings, and every venture which is coming in, which I will miss from this outgoing European Union ambassador, it has been very, very active in sourcing investment on behalf of Zambia, and then we just come and discuss the final touches of the process. A lot of initiatives have been put in place. You know of the European Zambia Business Club. which has attracted a lot of Zambian businesses as well as European businesses. We are still moving on. This week there was European Union investment external plan, just a summit where we got the European Union High Commissioners and all the businesses, as well as the banks from European Union Bank, as well as other banks, even ADB, just to see what is it that could be planned for the future.
Minister of Finance Margaret Mwanakatwe has asked Zambians to support the sales tax as it meant to increase the country's revenue and support government social development programs. Mrs. Mwanakatwe says that the introduction of the sales tax will help the country to grow the resource envelope, which will be used for developing the country. She says that sales tax is a game changer in terms of revenue collection and is a much simpler tax system. She emphasizes the new tax regime is important for the country as Zambia's fiscal support from cooperating partners has been reducing following the country's ascendance to a lower middle income status. Mrs. Mwanakatwe has noted the need to review the country's domestic revenue mobilization strategies in order to sustain the developmental agenda and reduce poverty. Zanis reports that Mrs. Mwanakatwe said this during the sales tax consultative meeting with the business community in Kasama on Friday night. Meanwhile, Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA Commissioner for Domestic Tax Moses Shuko has described the sales tax as a very beneficial tax to the country. Government is on July 1st this year expected to start implementing a new tax system called the sales tax, which will replace the current value-added tax, VAT. One person has died while two others have escaped unhurt in a fatal road traffic accident which occurred in the early hours of Saturday around 0530 hours on Ilume Road in Itala Compound in Mkushi. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo says involved was a Toyota Hilux registration number BAA 8775 driven by Kreta Semotuna, aged 24, who is the deceased of Garden House. She says that the accident happened when the driver lost control of the motor vehicle due to excessive speed, hence went to the extreme right and overturned. Ms. Katongo says that the driver sustained head injuries and died on the spot, while the passengers escaped unhurt. The body of the deceased has been deposited in Mkoshi Hospital mortuary. Government says Zambia has continued to face the challenge of ensuring that the girl child completes their education. In some instances, they are not employed. Ministry of General Education Permanent Secretary in charge of administration, Dr. Jabin Mulwanda, says the ministry is focusing on a range of solutions aimed at increasing girls' school attendance, including bursaries, making schools safe from gender-based violence, and improving sanitation. Speaking during the World Bicycle Relief Report dubbed How Bicycles Impact Girls' Education and Empowerment, Dr. Mulwanda adds that according to the Zambia Demographic Health Survey of 2013 and 2014, distance was the most reported reason why most girls could not complete their education. He says that this is why the report, the effort by World Bicycle Relief to empower the girl child with bicycles for educational purposes is important because it complements government's effort in ensuring that the girl child is educated. Dr. Mulwanda has since expressed hope that collaboration between the Ministry of General Education and World Bicycle Relief will continue for the betterment of the girl child.
We continue to identify cost-effective ways to bring education to the girl child and to the nation at large. And one of these strategies is what we are discussing today, the bicycle. From the results, we've been told that bicycles cut down on distance to get to school, or time to get to school, meaning that our girls can get to school on time. We saw how children testified that they no longer feel tired and therefore they're able to concentrate when they get to school. So empowering the girl for us is very important. We continue.
And speaking when making a presentation, World Bicycle Relief Monitoring and Evaluation Director Alicia Myers says a case study of Namala district after the distribution of bicycles indicates that students with bicycles reduced the number of days they arrived late at school from 12 days to 6 days, showing a 50% reduction.
And in terms of empowerment, which is the hardest thing to measure, we've struggled with that for years. We were very pleased with the outcomes as well that showed that girls with the bicycles felt more in control of decisions affecting their lives, such as when to marry or to have children. We call that their locus of control and their future aspirations. In terms of self-image, the girls who received the bicycles ranked themselves higher academically and believed more in their potential for success in life. Positive social contribution. The girls with the bicycles were more likely to reach out to a friend.
The Department of Immigration in Katima-Mulilo, Western Province, has arrested 2 Zambians for the offence of human trafficking, contrary to Section 3 of the Anti-Human Trafficking Act 2008. The 2 have been identified as Davis Chewe, 35, male, and a female, Josephine Kanyanga, 32, both Zambians. They were intercepted on 25th May 2019 by immigration officers at Katima-Mulilo border control after they attempted to traffic 2 Congolese male juveniles into Namibia. Immigration Public Relations Officer Namati Nshika says the Zambian duo was charged with the offence of human trafficking and the case has been forwarded to the National Prosecutions Authority for further action. Mr. Nshinka says the Zambians are detained at Sesheke State Correctional Facility while the Congolese juveniles are in the department's custody. Meanwhile, Mr. Nshinka has revealed that the Department of Immigration between 24th and 30th May 2019 apprehended 113 persons for various immigration offences countrywide, including 49 apprehended in a mini cleanup operation conducted in selected parts of Lusaka. Among those apprehended in the operation were 27 Burundians, 17 Tanzanians, and 2 Rwandese. Others were 1 Turkish national, 1 Chinese, and a Zambian for obstruction. In a statement made available to Q News, during the same period, the department removed 22 illegal immigrants from the country and refused entry to 4 persons who failed to meet entry requirements for Zambia. The Opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, has charged that President Edgar Lungu failed Zambians and as that matter, Zambians are ready to reject him come 2021. UPND Nkema Member of Parliament, Kapelo Mpangweta, says the Patriotic Front ship is sinking fast and nothing can save it. According to him, a Patriotic Front-led government has failed to consider some important issues that are affecting Zambians. And Mr. Mpangweta has urged other opposition political parties to reject a coalition government proposal seeking to keep the ruling Patriotic Front in power. The Nkema legislature has assured his party and the people of Zambia that the proposed introduction of a coalition government will not see the light of the day once it's taken to Parliament. Recently, the National Dialogue Forum adopted a presidential electoral system that would provide for formation of a coalition government to avoid a rerun if no candidate obtains over 50% plus 1 of the valid votes cast in a general election.
People vote their leaders into office, and then you cannot just impose or predetermine just because you suspect that in 2021 you might lose your slot and you get somebody else to assist you. That should not be prescribed. We should continue on this basis, and surely this even gives an impression. In 2016, when the new constitution was being made, does it mean people didn't reflect or what? What is the meaning? Because policies or constitution of this, they should stand for a long time. That's why there is word standing the test of time. It means over a long period. It means once you have made a change, you have reflected on it, and people have spoken about it. and not that should be changing each time you see that now your time is more or less coming to an end, you want to change, prolong, and so on. I don't think that should be the position.
Still in the news, a government activist has opposed the National Dialogue Forum's move to adopt to have mayor among fellow councillors. This means that mayors will no longer be elected by a popular vote from electorate, but will be voted for among councillors. But Leslie Chikuse thinks that the move is targeting Patriotic Front Mayor Miles Sampa, who he has alleged that he has become uncontrollably. He has told QTV News that there is need for government to rescind its decision on mayors, saying the current electoral system is good. Mr. Chikuse has stated that electing mayors and council chairpersons through a popular vote is a good system which has brought about dignity and sanity to those officers, even though mayors and council chairpersons are still figureheads without executive authority.
When I'm about to be mayor, that's when they decide to abolish the position of mayor. And this has been created. This has been created because the Patriotic Front have failed to manage and control their mayor, who is Miles Sampa. Okay, they have failed to control him. He has become a monster. He has become uncontrollable. And so instead of looking at how can we deal or look for a mayor who can be controlled, they decide to abolish the mayorship, which is unfortunate. Just because Miles Sampa was kidnapped, it doesn't mean that any other person also will be kidnapped. So I think that when looking at these issues, they must look at the decentralization policy and how it can be implemented and the role of the mayor that he can play. We cannot just attempt to be mayor once and then you close the door. We cannot accept. When I'm about...
Chief Chimbuka of Chinsali district in Muchinga province says calls for President Edgar Lungu to fire ministers are baseless. Chief Chimbuka has told Q News in an interview that Mr. Chitotela is innocent until he is proven guilty by the courts of law. He has since challenged those calling on President Edgar Lungu to fire Mr. Chitotela, and he says are jealous of the minister and that they should use appropriate channels and wait for the courts of law to handle the case. Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Development, Ronald Chitotela, had been arrested again and charged with 9 counts of possessing and concealing property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Mr. Chitotela, 47, was first arrested on February 5th this year for allegedly concealing property number 148 of Farm 50A in Makeni and another one in Ibex Hill.
Abasambirira abengifiwerewere abasambirira dabesho ekitika kitotela talerwa ekayo alero nabo babaranko mukabineti bale muruishya abanankwe temwe ne kitotela pangile filiayo abanankwe wabomba nabo okufinya kufenene washomba nabo. Story coming from Wapura. Myself, I'm coming from Muchinga province, whereby I support the thing which is straightforward. That is supported in wrong. But Lungu is a very good leader. Take home for if you want to put your and I to unite Mutamfin. Now Mtotra Sana Rungu, Pakuti, I take your Mutima, Ukawakutan Shamu Mendoist. Panunga Mutamfinsto, Putamtamfin to Pachis. Natuareke.
The United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ has described the introduction of the coalition government as progressive. UPPZ spokesperson Francis Kope was, however, quick to mention that it is, however, important to look at the modalities on how these clauses will work out in terms of any circumstances that may occur. He adds that if the modalities are not properly considered, the country may end up having by-elections each time a negative situation comes up. Mr. Kope says that it is not just about winning elections, but how the government is formed and how power is shared.
The clause, or the introduction of the coalition government, is one of those that we may term could be progressive, but we might also need to be wary of the term government. It's not just about winning, it's about how you form government. It's about how you share power. because after all, it's a coalition government. So you need to look at the modalities on how we can handle it. Since we're not using a parliamentarian system, we'll be using some kind of the 50+1, and then whoever comes together, whichever political parties, and then they put a president and form government. So we need to work on the modalities. We need to see how it will work, because if the modalities are not well put, then we will end up having by-elections, or perhaps we might have a situation where after forming government, you disappoint the other, and then there's nothing that they can do, because after all, you've already formed government. So the most important thing is the modalities on how this particular clause will work out, and in terms of any circumstances.
Republican President Edgar Lungu has been urged to not relent on sacking his ministers, advisors, and party officials who are not working for the progress of the country. Patriotic Front Monza District Chairman Gilbert Mwila says there are many sector ministers and advisors whose performance is nothing good to write home about. He has told QTV News that with the assurance that he has on the grassroots level, it is important that President Edgar Lungu fires those who have failed to perform in their sectors. Mr. Mwila says if President Edgar Lungu fails to fire the named people, he risks being shown the exit door come 2021. He has cited the recent increase on meal prices, an indication that some people have failed to address this issue.
And the grassroots has endorsed him. That is enough ammunition for him to divorce non-performing party officials, to divorce non-performing functionaries, to divorce non-performing ministers, to divorce non-performing advisors, okay? Because he has the support of the grassroots. Because at the end of the day, if these people who are not performing, who he entrusted in various ministries, in various positions, if they are not performing and they continue to exist with their incompetence, even after the grassroots have raised the red, the yellow flag, it may fall on our dear president. So I think the time has come for all of us to speak without fear, because of the consequence of losing power. Okay? My friends, some of us, the way you have chosen yourselves as journalists, we have also chosen to be politicians from a young age. Okay? So we have invested our lives, we have invested our talents and our everything.
And finally, in our news, Advocacy Against Child Abuse and Gender-Based Violence Executive Director Belion Chola has called on relevant authorities to take caution on how inmates are transported from one place to another. Mr. Chola has noted with concern the manner inmates are transported by the officers, which he says is very dangerous and may lead to fatal accident, as witnessed recently. He says that despite them being inmates, they are equally human beings who deserve human rights to prevail for them as well. Mr. Chola adds that safe transportation can also help them feel like they are also human beings despite going against the law.
It is also very unfortunate of the recent accident that involved inmates. In a way that we've witnessed how they are transferred from one prison to the other, or from one province to the other, from one town to the other, or from prison to court. I think the way they are transported, by the officers driving those trucks, I think is so dangerous. And we want to call upon the people that are responsible for the transportation of inmates from one place to the other, that they should take caution, because despite them being inmates, they are equally human beings who deserve human rights to prevail upon them. So it's important that even as they transport them to and from some place, they should take it into consideration that there are accidents which don't choose if you are a prisoner or not. They are bound to happen upon each and every person. So it's important that caution is taken as they transport these inmates, so that they also feel like they are human beings despite having gone against the law. It is also...
That's all from our news desk. It's bye-bye and God bless.